Hey everyone, I'm Jen. I am letting my hair dry from the shower. I'm back in my nightgown and I'm just aching. I don't know what's going on. Still seeing the designs. Uh, One of my friends called it kaleidoscope design, and that's awesome because it's layers and layers upon. Anyhow, that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to share two other incredible beings that I've met in 3D life. One, I haven't thought of names to call them, but one is a friend who receives messages, and he's hard of hearing, so sometimes it's a little challenging for me to understand what he's saying. He does have a hearing aid, but with his speech and maybe the way he communicates is different for me. But one time he texts me and says his woo-woo sixth sense-ish stuff is out there, and one of the messages was for me, and he said someone's gonna be watching you while you're having lunch tomorrow. So I text him back. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he says, don't worry about it. And I'm like, of course I'm going to worry about it. I don't want someone watching me while I'm having lunch. I said, so I'm going to go to a diner to have lunch. And he texts back saying it will not matter where I'm having lunch. Well, that sounds very stalkerish. And, but I went out for lunch and nothing happened. I just ate lunch by myself amongst strangers, but nothing out of the ordinary happened. But remember that one young man that I met at the Spanish ministries and over a month ago, and I could feel his presence. His essence is a huge angelic presence. And then I asked to meet with him afterwards, and so I was just sharing what I was feeling about him, and then he was sharing with me how he feels like he was in a cocoon his whole life, and now he's supposed to talk and help humanity remember who we are. And I was like, I've been waiting for you. And then he's trying to teach me stuff which basically explains the Mandela effect life that I'm living. So I'm like, yeah, I get it, I understand. Anyhow, so we'll call him Michael. And so Michael, this is before he gave his big speech. Is it a couple weekends ago now? But where I got all emotional saying he gets it, but I was crying. Anyhow, so he and I are friends just because we're two weirdos with woo-woo spiritual weird talk that most of humanity is not in touch with yet. And anyhow, so back to my deaf friend, or hard of hearing friend. And so I let him know I did not experience anything, that I was not aware of anything with his, I'll call stalkerish lunchtime watcher. But then that evening I get a text. Michael and I are texting about something. He was nervous about giving his speech. And as much as he seems to be an expert on the subject without even living the Mandela effect, he gets it, but still, talking in front of people is strange, even for me, despite a couple years under my belt with YouTube. But anyhow, he texts me and he says, I visited you for lunch today. And I immediately knew what that meant, because that was the day that I was supposed to have a watcher for the stalkerish, I'm calling it stalkerish, but for the lunchtime visit. And so I knew immediately that it was an astral visit, and I have visited places astrally, which is where you your essence, the real you, leaves your body, and you can travel elsewhere. And so so when he texted me, I visited you during lunch today. And so I just smiled. And then the second text is, astrally, I mean, which I find funny because I would have known if he visited me physically, but I just wrote back, I know. So I do like it that I have these two friends, very different, with different gifts, and they are perceived as quirks by everyone else. And I am so fortunate to have these two young men in my life. So yeah, that's the Stalkerish lunch I was talking about. Is astral visits a form of telepathy as well? I don't know. I am just an experiencer, but just wanted to share with you. Love you all.